Hello, everybody. My name is Lettuce, and welcome to Lake of Voices. And today I'm joined by Romulus, and as always, Oof Queen. So thank you guys for tuning into the video. And actually, this time, if you haven't watched my previous video, go to the very end of it to where I say, "Oh yeah, I know half of you don't watch it." So, anyways, let's go ahead and continue. Uh,
All right. Okay. So you can skip that. We were already there.
yeah. Well, you might
Yeah,
as well.
skip that.
Yeah, it's there. So you might as well read it.
Okay. Take care back there, all right? And here, take my jacket
I
if
don't
you
want
get.
it.
Yes, you do. Take my fucking
I,
jacket.
I don't want it, okay? Okay.
Don't worry. We'll all be together again when we reach the halfway island, aka heaven. It won't be too much longer now.
You're gonna steal Myra's lantern and stab her.
What?
It's a lot
You're
deeper. Uh, yeah,
spamming.
that water definitely did go down the wrong hole.
Okay, someone keeps on spamming me. Do you hear that?
No, I hear your
I swear to
keys.
God. I know, it's someone.
So, anyways,
I
next
swear to
line.
God. And Alex.
Oh, well, we're recording. Ignore him for now.
Right. Continue.
Yeah.
Oh my
Continue.
God, it's
Yeah.
freaking Alex. Okay.
So come on, Bimel, speak again.
Oh, there's more?
Yeah, there's more.
We'll have a nice little camp out. You can properly introduce yourself to us, Maybe spend some time alone with me. Maybe
Yeah,
even tell a real
yeah,
joke or
no,
two.
no, no. I, 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 I don't want that.
Yes, you do. Don't worry
I,
about it.
I, 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 I don't want that. The man emits a nervous little laugh and ducks his head. The prospect must not be enticing to him. Oh God, that was perfect. How I was saying that. I guessed him. I got him. Uh. With the stranger having pulled himself out of the conversation, but Mel looked seriously at me. I'm sorry to put you in even more.
Stop. It's fine.
But Mel shakes his
I,
head,
re-
still smiling.
I don't begrudge you at all. In fact, I'm glad you did. It saved me from heartbreak.
More lines.
All I want is for you to All I want is for you to remember that goal. Each of us together on the island, on the other shore, safe. This isn't about what our job is or where other people need us to be.
I nod in response, but Mel opens his mouth, then closes it. He swallows hard.
You too.
I'm surprised to hear his voice wavering slightly. He swallows again, then continues.
You two should look out for each other.
Yep, he's already heavily connected to the both of us.
Of course.
He takes a few steps back as if to go, but his eyes don't leave mine. He hesitates for a moment, then he crosses back to me and puts a hand on my shoulder. He smiles at me, a smile full of pride and nervousness and fear. I smile back, doing my best to communicate my gratitude and resolve. Hey, hold on. The pack that smiles back, goldfish.
That was lame.
Hey, it was a reference that fit it.
The snack that smiles back. Continue.
I pretty much called us a snack. I called myself a snack. I'm goldfish, apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
I'm very cheesy.
I can't tell whether
Again.
he understands. He softly glides his hand down the width of my arm before moving away for good. Then he
You made
takes
a
his
move.
position ahead of Margaret.
Watch out for yourself too, not just everyone else.
I will. The guide figure disappears with only his lantern to lead the way. Bimel and Margaret are finally forced to leave us behind and catch up with them. I watch them disappear into the fog, an odd feeling in the pit of my stomach. I cannot recall the last time I had difficulty seeing someone leave.
You should go after them.
I start.
Especially that
I
hot
almost
guy.
forgot the man was there, standing right next to me. Now he looks at me with desperate eyes.
You don't need to do this.
What?
I'd rather know you returned to them safe, and you all had a chance to make it back together. The way that they acted, having to go on without you, no one would feel that way for me. I'm not worth it.
That's not. I stop, unable to say the last word. Can I claim that he's wrong? This is the one thing he has seemed sure of, and I do not know him. Empty platitudes may be worse than nothing at all. He smirks at my mumbling reply. I'm caught off guard by the change, with only that it seems he's in his element.
It's true. ...
He continues to grin, more so to himself than me.
You lot certainly made a scene, huh? That's nice, being loved and all.
He clarifies after I must have given an undesired reaction to the statement. I am so disconnected with myself, I am unsure if surprise appeared on my face or it was a lack of emotion that put him off. I mean, hearing that stutter, it's made me stutter myself.
Yeah.
Even in thought.
I don't know exactly what kind of
What is this
love it is
saying?
you share, but there has to be a bond in that group of yours.
Oh my god, I'm so done with you. More dialogue? You can't go on like this.
I mean, especially with the big one, you wouldn't look at anyone like that.
So give me his jacket.
He laughs and then speaks quietly.
It doesn't matter.
Oh my god, I'm so
I could still try the other shore. Go.
Stay.
My certainty shocks him. I can tell immediately he has returned to his meeker self. The man starts to speak again, but I interrupt. We should start walking. That should be enough of a head start for them. He hesitates a moment, but ultimately begins walking at my side. I'm relieved. I can never be quite sure what will come from this one. We move in silence. The man doesn't seem to want to speak anymore, but he keeps glancing at me, as if expecting something. Somehow, his odd behavior is comforting rather than disconcerting. Perhaps it's because he's more nervous after all this than I am. It's putting me at ease, making me feel more capable. I shouldn't allow myself to get comfortable, however. We're in a more dangerous position than ever. The whisper from the lake, so faint after Bimel's close call, now surges forth. It grows nigh unbearable, the creatures teeming below the surface. I dare not speculate on what has them so excited. Have you a name? The man chuckles dryly.
But barely.
I don't really know what I am to take from that. This time his laugh is more of a bark, quickly out and swallowed back up. Then he frowns.
Lou. Only 2 letters, so barely.
I see. What are you doing out here without the guide? Perhaps the question isn't appropriate to ask. After all, only the darkest of circumstances spurs someone to cross Sinlos. But the situation is very strange. I might even go so far as to say it's suspicious. I know that's not fair, but I can't help it. Years spent anticipating danger have made me wary.
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I know myself.
What does that mean? Is that some sort of joke, too? Or do you genuinely not remember how you arrived where you are?
No, it wasn't a joke. Well, this is a point to it all.
Then his voice, already by nature light and airy, drops to a whisper.
But, but I don't know. I even tried. You think that I'd be able to call a spade a spade already, right? Ha, ha.
He looks up, noticing my gaze still leveled at him. Then he shrugs.
I'd rather not talk about it.
As what has become the norm, I don't fully understand what he means. I can at least guess that he's not very happy with himself at present, and like it or not, he won't be sharing his real reasons with me.
What about you? What brings you out on this little adventure?
My God.
People
that took you
on
like
the
5
other
minutes.
side, people who need my help.
Yeah, have something waiting on
Oh
you.
my God.
Then why are you risking yourself on me instead? Warning about what's going on to happen to them.
I feel my brows furrow from my speck of alarm. Is that really what he took from this? I survey his face with a flick of my eyes, but there is no mischievous gleam to his look now. He's serious. We hold eye contact for a moment until, yet again, he stares down at the ground.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be
Oh my God, I'm so
disrespectful.
but
It just fell out somehow. It wasn't. I wasn't thinking. Well, the thing is, I'm planning on
what?
having this character stutter less, because this is the start of us meeting him, and he was extremely nervous then. So he's gonna continue being nervous until like.
He's not nervous though.
Well, the thing is like fear. So like he's gonna have that stutter because of the fear.
Alright.
So he is nervous. He's afraid.
Until he dies.
I will slowly
right?
drop it away from once we get to the midpoint.
Okay.
Sorry, I
Okay,
didn't
you're
mean to be
doing that on purpose.
disrespectful. It just fell out somehow. I wasn't thinking. Sorry, if you want me to do this high pitched voice, there's going to be a lot of stutter.
Oh my God, there's so much stuttering. You said like 7 times.
It's like, sorry.
It's like, God damn it, just say it. Sorry. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. It's just fell out somehow. I wasn't thinking.
Yeah, you're trying to take over my lines.
I am. I'm taking over. Screw that. I'm Lou now.
Yeah, you're not taking it over. I'm keeping Lou. You already gave it to me. No doubt. You were going to choose that too.
Look at his face. Look at his lips.
He stares. His stare shoots back up at me, eyes wide. Of course I'm going to be there for those counting on me, but you aren't nothing. I simply won't turn my back on you. Yes, I'm switching up like 2 words, but that's it. He smiles sadly, the kind of smile only someone who has experienced great hardship has. A smile I'm all too familiar with.
I probably have to disagree. Still, that's nice of you to say. See, look, I'm trying to drop it a bit to where he gets more comfortable with the situation. He's, of course, going to be uncomfortable when he first meets these people. Well, that's actually making me stutter now.
Wow, looks like you're becoming Lou.
We may not know each other well, but you wanted us to go on without you for our own safety. You even tried to have a sense of humor about it. That's counting for something. My statement is far from grand. Yet he becomes distinctly bashful all of a sudden, twitching his legs with each step. He hangs his head and mumbles his next phrase. Sadly, he seems unaccustomed to receiving praise.
That's true. Thank you for staying back with me. It's kind of nice.
No need to thank me.
Oh, right. I can't even show you gratitude correctly. Of course.
Oh my god, is he gonna kiss?
I'd go to give him a look, but he's smiling. He looks less pitiful than usual. He almost seems content while crossing Sinless. How? Why? It is.
It's just...
Yeah. It is not funny to make a joke out of thinking that way about yourself.
Mom.
If you don't want people to say things like that, then you shouldn't reject it. Thanks. Either I did right by thanking you, or I did wrong.
Okay, I'm sorry, but that does not match him anymore. The stuttering. Look how smirky he looks.
Well, hey, he could be smirky but stuttering because he's still nervous. He's in a very uncomfortable place, and fear is all around him.
Fine, you're welcome. This time, he lets out a real laugh, though a short one.
Ha 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 ha.
No, can't steal it, can't steal it.
I'm glad.
He stretches his arms out in front of him and elongates his strides so he's walking a bit ahead of me. It sits wrong with me. He's relaxed and completely unguarded. He's even fine with distancing himself from the light and all the odd comments he has had so far. Then a thought strikes me. Maybe the reason he's so calm is that he doesn't care what happens to him. My heart plummets into my gut. For a time, there is a relative peace in the silence between us. Then Lou sighs heavily.
I never could have seen myself in a situation like this. It seems things really aren't over until they're over. See, look, I'm trying to make it to where he's slowly losing his stutter as he's just talking to Kika.
Did you think it was over? He doesn't answer immediately. When he does, the reply is accompanied by him grasping himself, like he might fall apart if he lets go.
Yeah, I did.
That would have been the normal outcome for his situation. Alone, lightless, I shouldn't have asked. I must have let a frown slip through because Lou smiles a non-smile. He stretches his hand behind his neck and gives a little chuckle.
Something really is wrong with me. Somehow I feel lighter.
All right. Well, maybe this is good. If he's feeling better than he was, then perhaps his view of himself will improve.
I wonder who will still be left standing when this is truly all over.
What? Everyone will be.
Nah, Margaret's gonna die.
I say it firmly to end the discussion, but Lou's expression grows gravely and unusually sympathetic.
You know that's not possible, don't you? Someone will go. You shouldn't focus on making sure it's someone else.
You don't seem to be concerned with self-preservation. That came out more hostile than I had expected. He doesn't mind it.
True, but it's not the same for me.
I still don't know what I'm supposed to interact with a person like him. Making conversation is already not a strength I possess. Regardless, Lou echoing that sentiment was not something I had expected. The whispers from the lake, which had already grown, now speak faster and clearer. The individual words are almost audible. I'd likely be able to make them out if I knew the Nyx language. For a split second, I wish I did. The light in the distance still drifts along in the same manner as it did when we first started talking, which I take the mean the path hasn't turned so far. Hopefully that means we're still on the right path. But the light, it got brighter. It's strong enough that I have to glance away from it for a second, and the next time I look, the light has grown. The bridge is on fire. I grab Lou's arm without thinking. He's standing there stiff, staring at the glow, eyes dull. We're going to run. To hell with the guide's order. If we don't go now, we will never go anywhere again. Lou doesn't respond. I give his arm a small tug, and he appears to come to himself when he nods at me. I make the decision. Then I won't let go of his arm. I don't know what'll happen to him if I do.
Okay, so there's probably going to be a timer here, considering we're about to run.
We take off, the heart growing with each step. The dankness of the bridge means the fire is spreading slowly, but it makes me question how it began in the first place. There is no end to how wrong this place is. It takes 20 paces before the air around us ripples, then starts folding into itself. Thick smoke pours over us, stinging like scorpions at my eyes. I cover my mouth with my free arm to keep breathing, and soon we're at the fire itself. The bridge lurches beneath us, as if the beams supporting it are starting to give way to the thousands of flying sparks. Lou stumbles and pulls against me for support, but we keep our ground. I start pulling him through the blaze. We don't have time to gather our bearings. We know... Who knows how long we have until the bridge collapses or is devoured by flames. As we push through the smoke, Lou wheezes for breath against me. Figures emerge, Bamel and Margaret.
Hello, that is a nice view.
I look at the two, and the situation around them, baffled. None of the individual pieces make any sense, until the reality of it hits me all at once. The guide is gone.
Motherfucker.
Margaret paused at the bridge. Her lantern is at her side. It's her glasses she's missing. Bamel is off to the other side, lanterns with only flickering embers in the wind to keep him off the darkness.
We're going to have to choose between Margaret or Bamel.
Well, I choose Bimel.
Wait, hold on. Let's read them.
Margaret paused at the bridge. Her lantern is at her side. It's her glasses she's missing. Bamel is off to the other side, lanternless, with only flickering embers in the wind to keep him out of the darkness.
We have two people, actually, with us, so we could split up and save them both.
Okay.
So you want Lou to save Margaret or Lou to save Bamel?
Lou can save Bimel.
So we'd have to choose Margaret? Okay.
Yeah.
This is if we're thinking correctly.
Yes.
I want to pretend that they're both fine and that they'll be capable of handling themselves, but I know that's just wishful thinking. Both of them are in danger. I don't know how the Nixie feel about fire, how daring they'll be if it is so close by, but I can't assume this is an opportunity they would want to miss. I have to do something, and I have to do it now. I waste not a moment more, rushing to Bamel, Lou in tow. Bamel and I arrived here together. We agreed to see it through to the end. We promised to protect each other. I have to be there for him.
We don't even care about Margaret here.
Fuck Margaret. Who cares about her?
Like, they're both at the bridge. Lou follows us instead of goes for Bamel. I mean, for Margaret, which is also down.
Yeah, who cares about Margaret? Let's go see
Lou is just
Bimel.
standing with us.
When I reach his side and illuminate his face with my lantern, he's beaming. I'm sure some part of it thought that when we parted, it may have been for good.
Relief to see you. And you too, Lou. Both of you. Looks like you didn't need my jacket after all.
He must have his coming back.
Oh shit.
You're flirting too much with him.
Then there's a scream. Margaret is nowhere to be seen. The light of her lantern is gone. She's trapped in the darkness.
Told you.
Margaret!
Yeah, that's my role.
Margaret! Did she move? Did she fall? Did the bridge collapse?
Oh my god!
Wait,
Oh
her
my
hands are no longer
God.
up. Her hands no longer up.
Yay! Oh my God. Why does she look different now?
Her glasses are off.
No, she was never blonde.
No, she was.
Was she?
Yeah. The picture you
Oh my-
just saw earlier, that CG was of Kika, not Margaret.
No, I know that. Thought that she had kind of like a hazel hair. I didn't know she had blonde hair.
Well,
Or
either
even
way,
more.
are you gonna scream her name?
What?
Scream the
Oh.
name.
Mika.
Yeah, that's a nice scream. She's crying.
I hear her turn in her direction. There, though the smoke, I see her looking up at me. She's trying to stand, but she's struggling for some reason. Then I see a gleam of white on slick black behind her and understand why. Run! A Nyx grabs hold of Margaret's dress just as she gets to her feet. It pulls. She slams
what a
back to the
dummy.
ground, head hitting the bridge with a sickening thud. Margaret groans and starts to yell.
Let me go. Let go, please.
Yeah, I think you need to be serious with this one.
Let go of me. Let go.
That's not even serious. It's like she's screaming it as like an order, not like wavering.
Let go.
Like the first "let go of me" that you said, that sounds proper, but you waved at the end of the second one.
Let go of me. Let go, please.
Yeah, stop waving. you keep wavering. We'll just continue with it. It's accepted.
Okay, she's gonna die anyways.
Yeah. She's flailing, kicking her legs and arms. She's disoriented. She doesn't know where it's coming from. The Nyx yanks her again. Another grabs hold, and she feels the tug enough to grab onto the portion of her dress and tear it. She's trying to rip it off. I run to her side, my light finally illuminating her form. Seeing the light spill onto her, the Nyx retreat back into the water, but they don't let go of her dress. Margaret screams, being dragged across the bridge. She digs her nails into the wood to stop herself, hands bleeding, but each soggy hold she finds slips through her grasp. I reach my hand out to her. Grab it! Margaret looks at me, kicking again with her legs. She doesn't even try to reach for me. She knows it's not going to fix this. Then she disappears. There's a quiet splash. No!
Yes!
I rush to the edge of the bridge, searching the water for some sign of her, but there's nothing but the placid black sheen of the lake. They took her down with the rest of them. Tears burn my eyes. I'm sorry, Margaret. None of this should have happened. Then a warm hand grasps my shoulder, but Mel, he smiles through a pained expression. I stare at him and can barely keep myself together. What happened to the guide? Is he also... My voice cracks in spite of myself. I don't know why I want to hear the answer, but it has to be said.
It's okay. I didn't like Margaret anyways. But no, that man's still slinking around this hell on earth. The bridge jerked, Margaret's glasses fell off, and the guide kept going. I stayed, but I kept my distance in case, and now we're like this.
He looks away.
In case there was a repeat of last time, I shouldn't have stayed so far off.
It's not your fault. I could have thrown my lantern, or gone to her sooner, or anything. I'm furious with myself. It's our fault Margaret was put in danger in the first place. Margaret didn't get to choose whether Lou came either. I made that call.
Oh, that's what we did wrong, man.
Yeah, I knew immediately because it's like, for some reason, if we didn't choose Lou, all three of us would have stayed together. This wouldn't have happened. But since we chose Lou, we separated. So, Margaret's dead now.
That's great. I love the outcome.
She was so kind to us, and yet when the choice had to be made, I threw her to the side.
Because the thing is,
So, overboard.
Margaret and Lou Margaret was wary of Lou. Like, she felt uncomfortable. Like, there was going to be something happening if we went with Lou, and we did.
Oh my god, she knew.
She knew.
But Mel seems to have read my mind and comforts me over thoughts I leave unsaid.
Listen to me. We tried. You never gave up on anyone. Not for a second.
He puts his second hand on my other shoulder and resists the urge to embrace me fully. The bridge trembles underneath us once more. I gather what wits I have at my disposal.
Damn, he has nice eyelashes. Look at that closed eye.
We need to leave. Which way did the guide go?
I don't know, man. The dude's like Sonic. I think he went off in that direction, though. The fog overtook him, but I didn't see him turn.
That will work.
Oh,
Lou? I look around for him, realizing he's not with me any longer. At some point, I let go of his arm. He's standing to the side, gaze glazed, transfixed on the darkness. He seems completely unaware of everything that's happening. The fire, the Nixie, the death. I step forward and yank back to my side. What are you doing? He flinches at the unexpected contact and looks attentively at me, but he doesn't offer any explanation. I'm
sorry. This is the end of the video for today, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. My name is Lettuce. I have been joined by Rom, Oof Queen, and this has been Lake of Voices. I do hope you enjoy, and signing off.